The G20 Finance and Central Bank Deputies meeting is underway in Sandton. Let's cross to SABC News Economics Editor Tshepo Mongoai. Very good afternoon to you, Tshepo. As I've outlined in those introductions, there's a lot that is being discussed at these various meetings. Tell us more.
Absolutely. Good day to you and to your viewers, Nompu. Of course, South Africa is slowly but surely making its mark in terms of influencing the discussions that are happening at the G20. It's going to be a long one, given that they will have the rest of next year in terms of making an impact to ensure that the developing agenda really makes its way to the heads of state and it will get an endorsement. And of course, one of the issues that they've raised is the debt restructuring. We know that under the common framework for debt treatment, there are a number of challenges that have been raised. This particular framework, Nompu, came out in 2020 at the height of COVID-19. It was a way to help countries that are facing poor country, that are facing high debt, and they want to restructure that debt for a number of reasons, that they're not able to repay that particular debt, so that there is some kind of a guideline to deal with that debt restructuring. But one of the stumbling blocks is the fact that negotiation of debts involve creditors, different creditors with different interests, and often it's quite a difficult one to get them all around the table and agree. There's been instances where almost all the creditors agreed. We know a classical example in Zambia, where you had most of the creditors from developed countries, multilateral organization, agreed in terms of to make it easier for that country to repay and extend the terms of that loan. But you had countries like China, which is quite an influential party among a list of creditors, that vetoed that particular decision, although later on there was some kind of an agreement. So there are issues and discussions around the debt restructuring. It takes very, very long. You have Ethiopia, Ghana, that are also trying to find their ways in terms of restructuring their debt, and it's been a long, long time. There are other countries that have asked that their debt be restructured, but they find it extremely difficult because creditors are just not agreeing. And remember, Nompu, debt is business, so you have a mix of interested parties who give loans to African countries, pension fund. These are savings from households, many from developed country and China, who extend this money and they expect it to be repaid with interest. And unfortunately, some of these developing and poor countries are finding it extremely difficult. Yeah. So they are trying to find a way. The other issue is, of course, the issue of transparency around debt. You have instances where, again, example of China that has not been quite open in terms of how much is actually extending to various countries. So there's a need so that everyone open their books so that it's easier to negotiate, especially when they are restructuring the debt.
Yeah. Tshepo, we're going to leave it there. Of course, it's very important for the African continent to break the back of debt obligations in order to have sufficient liquidity or capital to be able to use that money and channel it into investment for growth on the continent.